Welcome back to Bits and Boards. I'm Anthony Krolikowski, and I feel like this episode is a pretty universal one. If either you know somebody in your family, a grandparent or a grandkid or a child, or even yourself who plays Roblox, it's a free game, and free for a lot of people is great, right? And between tablets, when I was a kid, it was the DS, and that was what we played, and you had to get a new game. But with Roblox, there's so many different you just hop on, you look for something, or things pop up, and there's all these different experiences. So it's a different world that we live in now, especially from the few years that I've been alive on this wonderful world. But we're going to introduce our guest today. We have Eliza Jacob. She's the Senior Director of Product Policy at Roblox. So first, Eliza, just thanks for doing this with us and taking some time out of your day. Appreciate that.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So our topic is on your new safety standard. So first, just give me what that announcement is for everybody and what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So we announced last week that we are going to be launching facial age estimation on the platform to access all communication features. So that means you'll go through a sort of quick and easy facial age check that's also privacy protecting. We delete those images immediately once we complete the check, and we will put you into age buckets. And then you will be able to unlock both text and voice chat on the platform, but you will only be able to chat with folks that are in your immediate peer group. So think a couple years on either side, and then you'll be off to the races. So we're really excited about this because we think it sets a new gold standard for communication and safety on the internet. For a long time, it's been really challenging to be able to do any kind of verification for youth, right? It's one thing to do an ID verification, but you don't have that for kids. So this is exciting new technology that we're really thrilled to be able to use in this way.
Yeah. And when it comes to, verifying it's pictures, or is it videos, or is it a mix? And what is that process of how does it work with the verification method?
Yeah, it's a live video, so we want to make sure that you can't be using like a photo of your older brother that you printed out or something, or an AI generated image. So you will be asked to sort of move your head left to right and sort of demonstrate that you're really in front of the camera. And then the AI model will estimate your age, and we'll throw away all that data that we just used to do that. And then the settings in your account will update to be consistent with that age.
I want to say I did something like that similar when it came to Facebook or one of the social media apps. When it came to, you got to show, like you said, all these different sides of your faces. And I don't know if it was for verifying my Facebook account, which my Facebook account is not verified, but like for the check mark. But I remember doing that for one of those. And you mentioned in the press release that you sent over to us that you're kind of leading the way here. It's an industry standard. What are you comparing yourself to? Is it kind of like the massively multiplayer games like Final Fantasy 14 or Fortnite here, or is it more like the chat rooms and those applications like your Discord and your Kick? What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I think, Roblox is unique in the ecosystem, right? We're this gaming platform with user-generated games. And I think really the thing that sets us apart is that we've always been an all-ages platform. So we've always allowed kids of all ages to play on Roblox. And what that means is that we've always built systems knowing that kids were on the platform. And, for a long time, this technology just wasn't available and wasn't as reliable as we needed it to be able to use it. And I think other places on the internet, there definitely are kids using a lot of those platforms, whatever they are, but they sort of they don't build for that because in their terms, they say you have to be 13 and older. And so we've always been building for it, and this is just the next iteration. So I don't know that we're comparing ourselves directly to anybody, but no one else is using age verification in this way. And we're really optimistic that if we can lead the charge, then other folks will join on. Because again, like we know kids are on lots of platforms. They're not only talking on Roblox, they're talking in lots of places. And the only way to keep kids safe is to keep them safe everywhere, not just on our platform.
And when it comes to those age blocks, put that into perspective for me. When a child sends their picture out and it puts them in as 8-year-old or a 13-year-old or younger than that, how does that work in placing them, and who are they able to talk with?
Yeah, the way I think about this is sort of in like school age buckets, right? Like high schoolers can talk to high schoolers and elementary schoolers can talk to elementary schoolers a little bit. So who you would be on the playground with. The only once you're 16 or older, you're able to talk to folks that are verified to be older than you, that, in the adult buckets, sort of similar to the real world, right? We expect 16-year-olds to be able to drive and be out and a little bit more independent in the world. And so we're really trying to mirror the developmental process of kids as they grow up and sort of who they would naturally be conversing with.
One thing I'm curious with, because I've played Roblox just a tad here, but when it comes to these kids being verified for their age or adults, right, or older users, and just say your 8-year-old is seen as a 16-year-old, just and obviously they're not. And how does that work? Does the parent or the kid able to be like, here's my birthday, or the parental controls come into play, or just say flip it around. Let's say that maybe there's someone who's 16 who's in the 13-year-old age group, right? And then they're playing with kids that age. So, how if there is is there a fail safe in place for just say if it does happen? Not that we're hoping that it happens, but what is there?
Right, if it gets it wrong. Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, we wouldn't launch if it didn't meet our accuracy requirements, right? Like that is not useful. If it's not accurate, it's not useful to us. So we're confident in its accuracy and its privacy protection. But that being said, if, for example, let's say you're 12 and it gets you wrong and it puts you in a younger bucket and you're mad because now whatever, you can't talk to your friends, you can write into our customer support and if you connect your account, if you're the kid, with your parent's account, your parent can appeal for you and say, hey, no, actually this is wrong, and provide additional forms of verification in that way. And the same thing is true for an adult who's using their ID to verify, right? If we say like, oh, this isn't a valid ID, and it is, you can always write into our customer support and appeal and have a back and forth with those folks. So we do have fail safes, we do have appeals processes. You can use your parents to their connection to make sure it's accurate, but we really believe in the accuracy and consistency of this product.
And when it comes to, let's just say, parents or older kids playing with their younger siblings, you have some examples in the press release, but give that to me out loud. That if you just say you have a 16-year-old wanting to play with their 8-year-old, sibling, how does that work, and how can kids make sure that they can communicate through their game to a trusted person in their life?
Yeah, there's so many examples of this, right? But older siblings, younger siblings is a good example. Cousins that live far away, parents that want to play with their kids. And so we are building systems to be able to verify the trusted connection of those two folks, where parents would have to say like, yeah, I know that person, that's my other kid or their cousin or whoever it is. And then the user would be able to chat with folks that are outside of the age bands that we've set in place. But absent that kind of verification, you're going to have to chat with kids that are your age.
I find the online world of playing games, it's very, not interesting is kind of a simple word, right? But it's so immersive and just nice to see, because when I was growing up and I had my DS, as I mentioned in the intro here, we had internet for like your Mario Kart DS or Pokemon battles, but I lived in the country growing up, so it wasn't the greatest in the world for internet. But my parents, they kind of just handed us the systems, the DSs at the time, and they're like, here you go. We played with them, and then that was it. There wasn't much oversight. There wasn't much interaction with me and my parents setting it up that much, other than maybe for me, like putting in my birthday, and then I was free to go and do whatever I wanted in this world. And nowadays, not just on Roblox, but your consoles, your computers, so much of it is there's online access that's almost like a standard at this point for many games. And so how do you see that relationship with parents being involved with their kids playing from as a company? And just comment on that. Do you think its parents are as involved as they should be? Not enough? And how does that play a role in what you do?
Yeah, as a parent myself, what I know is that all families are different and different families have different rules. In fact, that's something I say to my daughter all the time when she says, why did they get that or whatever, I say, different houses, different rules.
Mm-hmm.
I think we really recognize that parents have a lot going on. Their kids are on a lot of platforms and they're all different. So we build our systems with those things in mind. So first of all, our approach is to be safe by default. So as long as your kid is is signing up for a Roblox account using their real birthday, or now is using the spatial age estimation, so we're putting them in the right set of settings. We have created a lot of systems that parents never have to touch to keep their kids safe. So whether that's who they're allowed to chat with or which types of chat they're allowed to use on the platform, which types of games they're allowed to play. We have a content maturity system, sort of like a movie rating system. And so we'll put your kid in the default groups of which games they can play based on the content maturity. And, all manners, whether it's screen control, visibility, or spend control, all those kinds of things. We have a safe by default approach where even if you never, as a parent, interact with parental controls, you never play with your kid, as long as they're in the right age bucket, we think they're in the right set of settings for most kids. But that being said, we do really encourage parents to get in the game, sign up for their own Roblox account, and then they can link their account to their kid's account. And then they'll have access to they can make changes to all of those settings. They can also approve friend connections. They can set different screen time limits. They can set different spend limits. They can see which games their kids are playing most often. I think that's really valuable because you might not understand, you're not going to understand the sort of vastness of this platform. There's millions of games every day, but you'll see like, these are the 20 games my kid is actually engaging with. Let me go look at those and see, in the same way that you might see what was in their Netflix queue or something else. You're getting visibility into the information that's actually relevant to you. And that's what we're trying to do, is serve up information to parents that's useful, that they might be able to make active choices on without forcing them to sort of go into every single little setting and change it if they don't want to.
Yeah, one thing that's great about the way that we're doing this interview today is not comparing it to our normal broadcast, is that we get to have this longer conversation, and also we get to include a little bit more opinion compared to just like hard journalism here. And I definitely feel that this world that we live in now, that if parents need to be involved in what their kids are playing online. And luckily for me as a kid, like I said, it was still kind of the early days of going online and playing games. For me, eventually it came into League of Legends, which if you know anything about that is there's a lot going on in that chat. But it's just like somebody needs to have an active role in what kids are playing online and interacting with, because there's so much out there that you can just easily access, and you can hope that everyone on there is a good actor, right? But anything can happen, just like when you're out in the street or at a school or just anywhere in the world. You can't control everything, but you're hoping that somebody can be there and be that fail-safe in case something does go wrong, because we all know it can happen, even though we don't want it to happen. But it's certainly, there's always that threat there. And we just, for the most part, I want to have fun when I'm playing games online. And I'm sure these kids who are just, either they're pressing buttons like I kind of did as a kid and just running through the world, that's all that's on their mind too. And the last thing anyone wants to think about is, somebody online and the potential harm that can come from that. But, I also, going back to the press release here, there's also the mention of the safety center, or maybe some increased ways that parents can be involved. You mentioned that they can look at what their kids are playing, but just really put in perspective here more ways that parents have access to what their kids are doing, maybe even what their kids are talking about. Are there logs that are available for parents to see, or any sort of other communication that they can kind of have some oversight in?
Yeah. So the Safety Center, roblox.com/safety center, that is a place where there's an abundance of resources for parents on, for example, how to set up parental controls, step by step on how this facial age estimation works, all kinds of things about tips on how to talk to your kids about online safety. So it's a really good resource for folks that maybe are listening to this and sort of maybe they're in their car, they can't get right to it, but they want to sort of learn more at a time when it works for them. So I really encourage parents to go there to learn more. But that being said, I think, we have a lot of parental controls, and we do a lot of research with our parents community and with our developer community to understand what would be useful to them. So for example, this visibility into the top 20 experiences that your kids are playing, into screen time, things like that, into who their friends are, all of that, and then control over those spaces. And those controls also age with kids. So as kids become teenagers and they're really developmentally, it's appropriate for them to have more autonomy and more privacy and more independence. That transfers into a bit of a sort of visibility but not necessarily control model. And an interesting thing, we have a teen council and we talked to teens about what they wanted. And they really wanted tools to take control of their own digital well-being. They wanted visibility into things. Like I know we all have that little weekly screen time report that pops up on our phones and we think, was I
Can be
doing
a
a
lot.
good job?
Yeah.
Yeah, was that a good week or why was that a bad week on screen time? So it's interesting to me that teens, who are growing up as digital natives, they speak that language and they want those tools for themselves as well on Roblox. So we'll continue to build and innovate. We'll add more things that we think parents and kids and everyone values. And we'll see what the next generation teaches us. I find when we listen to them, they have just more interesting and creative ideas than some of us older folks could ever have dreamed of. So it's been so valuable to have both. We have a parent council and a teen council, and we get so much valuable information from them.
Well, thanks for that first half of all my questions, answering them, Eliza. I appreciate that. And coming up in just a little bit, we're going to get back into the conversation there and more the wide picture here with Roblox. So stay with us. And we are back. Now, Eliza, you're telling me about the new stuff that's coming up here pretty soon. And before we go into the bigger picture here, first just tell me when we can expect these changes to roll out. And reading over everything seems like there's kind of like a trial period starting off in one place, and then we can see this all come to fruition in 2026 for everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. So it's available now in the app. If you open up your Roblox app, you're ready to go using facial age estimation. So, we encourage folks to start now. Super easy, takes a couple of seconds, and then you're done. But it will be required starting in December in Australia and a few other countries, and then rolling out globally worldwide in January. So after that time in January, all chat functionality, so that's both text chat and voice chat, will be off for folks that haven't completed this process.
And now going back to maybe the beginning of this year or in years prior, just tell me how the protections in place have evolved for, kids, minors, just anybody when it comes to sensitive material and being safe online. How has that changed over this course of time?
Yeah, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Roblox has actually been around for almost 20 years, and it was built, as I said, from the beginning as an all ages platform. And so they knew from day one that safety was going to be really important because when you're talking about kids, of course, safety has to be core to what you're building. So something our founder, Dave Baszucki, often says is he was one of the first moderators. He was sitting in a room with a couple other folks that were building the early platform, and they were hopping in and moderating because someone had to do it and they didn't have a trust and safety team yet. So we've been building safety systems for a really long time. And as the tech has evolved, our safety systems have evolved. So in the past, 5-10 years, that machine learning models and AI systems have gotten so much better to be able to moderate at scale. We actually proactively moderate all content as it's uploaded to the platform. So we take a look at it and make sure it's compliant with our policies and then let it proceed for developers. We have many layers of safety systems. So for example, we have a text filter. Chat is filtered and it's stricter for under 13s than it is for over 13s, but we're filtering for things like sharing personal information like phone numbers or addresses, and we're filtering for any kind of inappropriate content. So those systems continually get better and the models get better, the tools get better, but we're constantly adding new layers into this multi-layered safety system that we're building.
Not that we want to give anybody a outlet or a workaround, but for any kids can be pretty crafty, and obviously you have all these fail safes in place, right? And where people can talk with their trusted age group and trusted adults and all that great stuff. But Discord and all those other apps exist, and kids can certainly find a way to share their name. I know when I was a kid, and if you're familiar with Miiverse, when that was a thing, you couldn't share your friend code. But if you typed it in a certain way between words, you could share your friend code and then play with people. And luckily, nothing happened there, and there wasn't really a lot of talking that could happen through there anyways. But, tell me about the importance of making sure that between your company and parents that, staying in Roblox, and when you go out into this other realm of these other apps or other games that aren't part of the Roblox universe here, that's where things can start to get out of hand. And really, there's only so much that you can do or nothing that you can do once they leave your platform.
Yeah, that's right. There's nothing we can do once folks are on another platform. And so we really encourage kids to stay in Roblox because our policies and our tools are much stricter than they are anywhere else on the internet. Again, because we have all ages on the platform. So we have just, filtered text just isn't a thing you're going to see other places on the internet. And so we really encourage folks to stay in the platform, talk to your friends on the platform because we are monitoring. The other thing is on top of text filter and proactively monitoring all the content that's uploaded, we also have filters and systems running in the background. We actually recently open sourced these for the whole internet, again, because we want everywhere on the internet to be safe, not just Roblox. So we open source both our voice safety model and our child safety model that runs on all of our text chat. So we are looking in the background, even if we're not proactively filtering something, we're looking for higher level patterns and sending those things to our investigations team so that they can intervene based on that information. And our voice safety model, it's so cool. I mean, the engineers that worked on this are really cutting edge. It can intervene in voice chat and sort of send you a nudge and say, hey, it seems like you're maybe talking about things or saying things that violate our policies. And it requires you to take a beat and take a second before you go back into voice chat. And if we see multiple violations, we can actually kick you out of voice chat. So all of these sort of technological advancements, we think really put us ahead of the game on safety on the platform. But as you said, we're not in control of any other platforms. So that's why we hope that both open sourcing things and also coming out with a stance on this age verification initiative will encourage other platforms to sort of come along with us on this journey.
Looking ahead to next year, I know that's when we're rolling out for everybody this verification method. But first, let's talk about any other ideas that you have or things that you want to put in place when it comes to online safety, and then after that, we'll get into maybe some more fun things. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, as I said, I think we're always innovating and we're always building new tech. Roblox is an incredibly dynamic environment, right? You've got 3D immersive games that millions of people are playing all over the world. And so that's just it's an exciting challenge and a thing the safety of which we take very seriously. So we're constantly building new systems. Age verification is one of many layers in our safety systems, and we'll keep adding to that. And I think you'll see some really exciting new developments in the new year as well.
And now, when it comes to the experiences of the games, that from my understanding, my limited understanding of playing these games, most of them are made from other creators who then get a piece of the pie here. But what do we have to look forward to maybe with expanded experiences and what's to come in that space, and just any fun that you want to share that gamers can come to appreciate and experience.
Sure. Yeah. We never know what the community is going to do. That's what makes Roblox so fun. So it's really up to our developer community, our creator community to decide what they want to build and what's going to come in the new year. This last year we've had so much popularity with Grow a Garden and Steal a Brain Rot. Those are two games that are huge, breaking records all over the place. And we had nothing to do with that. Our developers built those games. We build the safety systems and the infrastructure systems to be able to do that and to scale those systems in the way that they have. And I'm so excited to see what our developer community does in the new year. Another thing I would say, given the time of year that it is, a lot of our developers do holiday updates. They do holiday parties, they do parades, they do all kinds of fun stuff. So take a look, your games that you're playing already, a lot of them will have fun holiday updates and new levels and fun things to play with. So it's a really fun time of year at Roblox to see what our developers do.
On my TikTok For You page, many a times I saw the Dress to Impress clips come up with all these different, people cosplaying from all different games, not just on Roblox, but like Nintendo and everything else, and just really sharing their fandom. So it seems we really got something universal here that pops up on my page. And like I said, I've barely played a few Roblox games here and there, but it's definitely enjoyable content for all ages to see something like that. And I relate to it. I'm sure other people relate to it, no matter what age. So a lot of stuff like you've been talking about. Now, going back to the safety conversation, any message that you want to give to parents who, maybe it is the holiday season, so maybe a kid is getting a tablet or they're getting a simple phone for the first time, and you know like I've said in the intro, Roblox is a free experience. Of course, there is things that you can pay for, but to enter, it's free, and then you have access to all of these different games. What's something that you would tell a new parent? Maybe they're on the fence. They've heard about Roblox. They haven't done much research, but they maybe heard some things here and there about safety or concerns, and this is your chance to pitch to them why maybe they should alleviate their concerns.
Yeah, I would say at Roblox, safety is really foundational to everything we do. We're considering safety across the board, not just as we build safety systems, but as we build all of our systems and all of our games. So we take it incredibly seriously, and we're going to continue to innovate and add layers to this already very layered safety system. But also, we really encourage you again to go to the safety center and read the resources, because I just think there's no replacement for having an open line of communication with your kids about any of the things they're watching on the screen, right? And if you open up an account and create your own avatar and play with your kid, you'll get a better sense of what they love about it and why they're so into it. I know sometimes like kid slang can be a little bit confusing, or for parents, your kid comes home and says something you don't know what they're talking about. So if you get into the game and play Roblox, you'll have a better sense of the language. And it will also mean that your kids will be more willing to talk to you about what they're seeing and if anything made them uncomfortable, if they know that you're invested in their Roblox experience and in their online lives, and that you're really open to hearing that from them. So, we do believe that our safety systems are set for safe by default, that as long as your kid is open the account, we do encourage you to sit with your kid when they're opening the account, make sure it's set up properly, but no replacement for being involved and engaged in your kids' online lives.
I've seen the Tamagotchi game, and I collect Tamagotchis in my free time, and I've been tempted to try it out on my phone, but I haven't gotten there yet. But maybe after this will be my push to to give it a go. Right?
Customize your avatar, yeah. Have some fun.
Yeah. We're getting down to our last minute or so here. Anything else that you want to add that you think is important that I missed, or you just want to tell anybody here before we get off for the day?
Yeah, I think, just that Roblox takes safety so seriously, and that this is one update and we're really excited about it and we hope it moves the industry. But you'll see a lot more from us in 2026. And actually, in the last year, we did over 140 updates. So we're going to continue to innovate and build new safety systems. And we're looking forward to hearing from our community and from parents and from our developers about what they want us to build.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Eliza, for joining us and really going down this whole list of the press release and talking this over with me. Really appreciate it. And for any of our viewers, if you would like to learn a little bit more about Roblox, as Eliza said, there is the links to look over the safety information and for the website. And as always, if you're looking for local or national news on Roblox, I've done one report myself that I can recall, and there's other stuff over on news10.com to look at there. So once again, thank you very much, and thanks for joining us for this episode of Bits and Boards, and we'll see all of you on the next one. Maybe Eliza again, if we have something else to talk about.
Anytime.
We'll
Happy
figure
to
it
chat.
out, right?
Yes, thanks
Yeah.
so much.
It was nice to have a serious conversation with you, but also plug in some of the fun in there because, games, it's games, right? You're playing a game. You want to have fun. And it's about being safe and having fun. So thank you very much. We're going to cue the outro here.